Welcome back to my channel, and today I want to discuss a little bit about Microsoft and how they've been treating Xbox in recent times. Because from what I can see, it seems as though Microsoft, one, they don't give two kicks about Xbox, and two, maybe they view Xbox through a lens that is kind of maybe rose tinted or flawed in some way, shape, or form. What I want to tell Microsoft is this: you are not Sony, you are not Nintendo. You don't have that leeway, that runway, that goodwill with gamers for some of the nonsense that you're doing. You don't have that kind of leeway. You suppose at this point you should be doing everything in your power to win over gamers. You were on that trajectory for a while, and then you have gone, well, south. I mean, I can't tell the last good run that this division of Microsoft have had. I am an OG Xbox gamer. I bought the first system because you have to understand that over the years they had this reputation of being a part of their brand being a particular way. In the OG Xbox days, hot off the heel of the failure of the Dreamcast, persons were seeing the Xbox as the spiritual successor to Sega's Dreamcast. And so they entered the market with that kind of, how should I say it, that kind of bravado, right? Like this more mature, let's say, bro shooter kind of aggressive, Western style aggressive kind of box. Even in its build, even with the big controllers, everything, it just seemed like a more aggressive kind of approach to gaming, a more mature approach to gaming. Whereas Nintendo was still in their kiddie phase, or still is, and PlayStation was more like, okay, best of both worlds in a sense, but not leaning too much on the more aggressive nature of gaming. They were more the JRPGs, especially in the PlayStation 2 era. A lot of JRPGs and that kind of thing. So that was the kind of audience they were catering to. 360 came around, and by the time the 360 came around, Microsoft had solidified themselves as that box, right? That more, like I said, mature, bro shooter, even to a certain extent, gearheads kind of box. Right? You want a real car racing game, you go to Forza Horizon, that kind of thing. You wanted to get that shooter going on, you go to the Gears, the Halo, that kind of flex, if you understand what I'm saying, right? That was how they kind of positioned themselves in the market. And so they were building around that. And then the Xbox One era came, and they totally spit on that, cast it to the side in favor of, as they said, TV. And that was when the real demise of the brand Xbox really started. So they have to have understood that historically they have not been seen as this level of consistency in terms of their messaging, in terms of what they're trying to do. Nintendo, Sony, on the other hand, these companies, whether for better or for worse, they have, for the most part, stuck to their guns when it comes to the approach, their business model for the console market. And so gamers have been able to galvanize around those two companies because they know what to expect now, especially today. They know what to expect. And so for Microsoft to make these kind of moves, as though they have this goodwill, as though they have this brand loyalty, as though they have the bandwidth, the runway to do these things like Nintendo and PlayStation, is foolhardy to me. It's confusing to me. And so you'd realize that when Sony dropped the PlayStation 5 Pro, we common folk we vocal minority were like, the price is too high. It's not gonna sell, blah 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 blah. But they know what their customer base wants. They know what their core audience is willing and not willing to buy. They understand the assignment. Even with Nintendo, a lot of us on here, vocal minority, making a lot of noise. The Switch 2 is too expensive. The games are too expensive. Nintendo price gouging, the nickel and diamond. But guess what? They know what their core audience is going to accept. They know what lines they can kind of push and push and push. They would know when to pull back too, because I remember the DS when they overpriced that and had to pull back, so they would know that too. But the point is that pundits and others making noise about Pokemon. But guess what? A to Z came out, 5 million sold, short span of time. Some reviewers whatnot making noise about Ghost of Yote. Oh, to see me. Made a killing in the first weekend out. So people making noise about the whole, single player driver. So you know what the audience want. And so again, persons are able to say, okay, I'm going to support Nintendo. I'm going to support my Sony because I know what to expect for the most part. These companies, when they have their business model, they have their strategy, they stick to it, sometimes to their detriment, but they stick to it, at least you know that there's some consistency. I don't know if it has to do with the fact that Sony and Nintendo are Eastern company, they're out of Japan, and Microsoft is a more Western company, America, and those different cultures view things differently. Because if you look at how they're approaching this business thing, whereas Microsoft want to be all in social media, want to do the kind of level of marketing, they want to be friendly bosom buddy with certain influencers, that kind of thing. Sony and Nintendo on the other hand doing their own thing over there. Right? They're not too into that game. Because you would realize that when something goes amiss and the vocal minority start talking, Microsoft sometimes buckles. Or they have to come out and give a statement quick. Or there's no hardware in the stores. They have to come out and make their statement. Right? Exclusivity. They have to come out and make their statement. Price is this. Come out and make their statement. Whereas Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo do what they have to do, and they stick to their guns for the most part. Look at Sony. With what we have to realize too is that gamers, they don't care too much about certain things outside of gaming. Some people might think that outside influences what gamers do, but sales and stuff have shown that that's not the case. But I digress. Back to Microsoft. So Microsoft talking about the increase in the price of the hardware, increasing the price of Game Pass, going full third party, the Rogue Ally X doing the whole collaboration, increasing the price of their dev kits, all in an effort to, as the reporting is saying, increase their margin, the profit margins, by 30%. 30%. No, this is madness, because based on this article by Bloomberg, they are showing that the average for the game industry margins ain't nowhere close 30. So who do you think you are, Xbox, Microsoft, that if the average in the industry is below 30 and your reputation is so soiled, your reputation is so inconsistent, well, why do you think that you'll achieve that 30% margin? There is some weird level of thinking that is going on with Microsoft that I cannot wrap my head around. And what is kind of puzzling is that these persons in Microsoft, man, they are worse than politicians, or they are like politicians. Lies. I don't understand how somebody like Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, all of those, they can drop news in the morning talking about prices going up, basically anti-consumer news, drop it in the morning, and then come back with a video like all is well, sit down in an interview talking all kind of corporate speak, like all is well. Like there's such a disconnect right there. I'm wondering if they are just being held hostage. Like wink if you want help, because how can you with a straight face stand there and express all of these things that they say? They're trying to basically gaslight us into thinking they are doing what's best for the consumers. They're doing what's best for the Xbox customer. They're trying to spin these things. Oh, we're giving you more choices. We're giving you this. We're giving you that. Oh no, exclusivity is an antiquated idea. They are trying to tell us how to think when the market is telling them otherwise. They studied the mistake they made by putting Call of Duty Day 1 Game Pass, 300 million lost. They made the pivot, but yet they want to come out and sell it and say, oh no, it's not because of that, it's because of choices and increasing the value by throwing in Fortnite, whatever. These people, they cannot be taken seriously. Microsoft is not a serious company. Well, the Xbox division is not being taken seriously. They spent money for Activision, they spent money for Bethesda, and now the chickens are coming home to roost because they need to make back all that money that they invested in. But the problem again is they aren't Nintendo, they aren't Sony, and so they can't make these kind of demands of their customer base because they have not shown that they are consistent, especially when it comes to consumer front-end, consumer things that benefit the consumers. They have not shown that. With Sony and Nintendo, you know what you're getting up front. We know Sony would straight up reduce the storage capacity of the digital model of the PlayStation 5 and sell at the same price. And customers will just eat it up still because there's not that track record of where they are flip-flopping and they have done this, they have done that. They have been consistent with their messaging. They have been consistent with the type of games that they're producing. Even when it comes to live services. Even though Concord was a massive failure, Sony haven't given up on live services. They are staying the course. They are staying the course. They're not flip-flopping. They are staying the course. Nintendo. All the noise people made about the Switch 1 underpower. Did they bring out the Switch 2 with a whole with a huge performance difference in what's out on the market now? No, the Switch 2 is akin to Series S and PS4 4 Pro, and it's still underpowered for the most part, but they know what they're about. They know about how to get this, how to set up their hardware so that it is not too cost prohibitive for them. And then because they want to make profit on the hardware, and then the software comes out and dominates. So, in conclusion, what I'm wrapping up, I just want to say this: Microsoft, know your role, know your lane, understand your position in the market. You're basically last. Understand how you have treated your customers in the past. There's no trust there. We don't believe in anything you say. You have lost all credibility. And that is why people have to question everything. You have lost it. So you cannot make certain demands of the consumer base if we have no confidence in you as a company. It doesn't work like that. So you can't be increasing prices. You can't be increasing prices of hardware, software, dev kits to meet your profit margins when you have shown that you're not worthy of that. You're not worthy of benefit of a doubt. You're not worthy of that because you always manage to step on a rake and you always manage to take 2 steps forward and 5, 6, 7, 8 steps backwards. So Microsoft, I mean, again, I could be wrong because a lot of persons made noise about PS5 Pro not gonna sell, Switch was too expensive, as I said before, and the numbers bear out differently, right? I'm gonna do a next video discussing how social media has lost the plot when it comes to gaming. So stay tuned for that one. Like, subscribe, hit the bell.